Welcome to My Sorare Journey. This should be a really interesting episode because I don't know if I've ever been more stuck on My Sorare Journey than I am right now. To take you through my strategy, it's pretty simple at the moment. I'm trying to collect as many RB Leipzig cards as I can. Particularly in rare, I want to be the top collector. I want to get that collection bonus mixed with the new season XP so that, by the end of the season or halfway through the season, my cards will be so unbelievably overpowered. Now, of course, that comes with a cost and I'm happy to pay that. I believe it's, worth the trade-off. I'm confident I can get these cards to at least 15% by the end of the season so that even when the new season supply comes out next year, I'll at least have 10%, a 10% bonus on every single one of my Leipzig cards. And that just sounds absolutely ridiculous. You can see on screen that's going relatively well. I'm clearly in first place on the leaderboard. I'm just shy of 4%. I've got every single goalkeeper they have. I've got some decent options that are, 1 of 100s that let me get, 60-point bonuses and have long-term utility. Danny Olmo, fantastic player. Lewis Openda I've went out and paid a pretty penny for as, one of the best up-and-coming forwards in world football. But if you know your football, there is one man that is seriously lacking from being in this team. Of course, it is Xavi Simons, like one of the best players up and coming in world football right now. Probably the best player at RB Leipzig. Now, might be a bit debatable, but regardless, the most expensive player and the best SO5 player currently for RB Leipzig, and I'm not going to have him in my collection. So yeah, you might be seeing a little bit of confusion. I'm going all in on RB Leipzig, and I'm going to ignore the best player. And keep in mind, I've still got about £700 worth of ETH that I could spend on Simons. But the problem is, to bid on him, I at least need to bid £860 to get this Simons. Now, I could go out and get one of the older season versions, so I have, the best player, but then I don't get the collection bonus. So if I'm not using the collection bonus on their best player, losing out on 4 or 5% on the best player just seems like an absolute waste. Now, obviously, what's really stopping me getting him is the price tag, and he's so expensive because of his age. But the problem is, of course, I don't play under 23s. My journey is a strictly, at the minute, Champion Europe Rare Pro. They're the divisions I like playing, they're the divisions I'm best at, so yeah, I'm really, really stuck. And if you are thinking you had all of that money, how have you possibly missed out on getting the best player? In the last journey, we saw you miss out on bidding on Simons. How do you still not have him? It's just a little change of strategy. I've got some decent players that I'm proud of picking up. So Xavier Schlanger, for example. What I really like about him is that he's a central defensive mid. So he's going to do well when all of the other Leipzig cards do badly. So, against really tough oppositions like Bayern Munich coming up next. Man City's the game after that. Having a super rare that's going to put up 60 scores on average, let's say 65 on a good game against a tough opposition, Then if he gets a goal or assist on, the random games that he'll do that, we're looking at hundreds. That is a really strong super rare for someone in my position. And that means I'm able to pick him up for £429, which I think is a really good deal when the rare price is going for about £110. Added to that, JR Duke is an absolute legend. He swapped me my old season Simacan for a new season Simacan, so that means I can actually start getting a collection bonus on super rares now. So, I'm over 1%, I'm pushing towards that 2%, I will be at 2% if I go on auction and get another card, which definitely is in the plan, right? So keep that in mind as you look at the rest of the gallery and think, okay, that's solid. If you want to see it in a more, strategic point of view, we've got, all of these depth options. We've got super rares across every position except for goalkeeper. In goalkeeper, we've got the backup of every player that plays here. So if Blazwich or Unai Simon get injured, we've still got a player to play. Got a lot of grounds covered. We've got a little bit of money we can raise from players that we call on, the transfer list. We want to get sold. It's looking strong. But now we get into that opportunity cost because, like I said, I want to go out and complete that super rare collection bonus. So my super rares are on 2%. I want to get Xavi Simons because he's the best player on Leipzig. And then also, I want a capped goalkeeper. I only have, 2 goalkeepers for Champion Europe and Rare Pro, whichever has a better fixture. But on Sorare, it's so important to grind out ETH at the same time so you can keep making acquisitions. I think the 280 points cap with my sort of XP is really, really achievable. So, I've got the rare players to do it, like a Mancini with an Aouar, with a, Fidel, can play every single week. But at the same time, if I go out and spend, £350 on a goalkeeper, I can't get Xavi Simons. So Honestly, this might seem like a bit over the top, but I reckon I've sat on this decision for 2 weeks straight now and changed my mind every day. Like Pedro Neto, for example, yes, he plays for Bournemouth, yes, his average is 48, not great scores, but for £250, he does seem like a great option for a capped goalkeeper that I can also put in Champion Europe if I need to. So I waited until the last minute, and the bid was at 250. If you wanted to bid over, you'd have to go to 272. And I just avoided it. I decided, no, I can't make my mind up. I'm going to let it pass. So this guy instead picked up Neto. Keep in mind, that's a new season card as well, so you'll get the bonuses for that. And the real confusion, or the real pain, which is driving me mad right now, Pavel Trader has one just sitting there, waiting for me to make an offer. If we add the 2 players on the transfer list, and then add on Hakimi, who is one of my favourite players, who is one of the best scorers at the minute with a last 5 of 78. I could trade them, plus about £200 to £300 worth of ETH, depending on how generous Pavel's feeling today, and I can pick up an old version of Simons. I really don't know how to say his name, by the way. Simons, Simons, Xavi, who has a clue? On one side of me, I love this trade because I'm getting the player I want. I can then go out, hopefully pay a little bit more and do a trade deal for a new season card, then I get a collection bonus. But on the other hand, I don't like it at all because I'm going to cut down my defenders by an extra position and add a midfielder, something I definitely don't need in the club. And then I still need to go out and trade him for a better version, which people just don't really do anymore. Even if you pay a fee, they just don't really rate it. So it's like, I really need to go out and win one on bid. Just keep in mind, if I go and get that card of someone else, I'm not going to have the first card owner bonus of 20, so I'm going to get 10 points for him. And when I've been putting so much effort into securing these cards, it doesn't really make sense. Now let's talk how much I actually paid to get the collection bonus, because it's easy to say it's overpowered, but you pay for it at the end of the day. So looking at my costs, and these are just rough estimates, but I've been as accurate as I can here, it cost me £312 to get the total XP. So for 9%, £312 seems a ridiculous amount of money to pay. You know, that's a really solid Champion Europe, forward, midfielder, defender, whatever card you want. But let's break down where that cost actually came from to get a better picture of it here. So just shy of 200% came from the new season bonus. So, that 5% that you get all season and maybe some of the next season, to be honest, that seems a little bit more reasonable, but expensive. Collection cost £116, really strong. Of course, a lot of my cards here, they're not going to be starters, and, a lot of the, dark reds are essentially not playing. If you look at the cost of my players so far, £1,900, 16% premium I paid to get 9%. So some of you would say, it just doesn't make sense, that's a bad buy. But the XP cost me £312, so a cost per player then, if I've got 9 players so far, £34, which, again, for low cards, like goalkeepers that don't play, awful decision, right? But for someone like Openda, I think, if you can get extra 9% bonus on Openda for £34, you're gonna snap my hand off, I'm sure. But where it really makes sense to me is the cost per percentage, almost. So if you consider it's also 9%, we'll just round up for simplicity here, £34 per percentage. Okay, doesn't really make it more easy, does it? But if you do a cost per percentage per player, it's £1. And that's where it really comes out and shows you the collection bonus, if you can do it right, is absolutely key to the game. Even if we zoom out on a year basis, £312 is not a lot of money, especially with how competitive the leaderboards will get. If you're adding 9% on top of your score, as long as you're performing, at the higher end of the leaderboards, which is obviously where I'm always aiming, I could easily make up that 312% in 1 year. Keep in mind, the collection bonus stays for the next every single year, So that's how I justify it. I really think it's the right decision. That's why I talk about it every single week, and I'm going to stop talking about it, I promise. But a lot of you will be following my journey and will take tips from me and will want to know how to do the collection bonus, because I've made a lot of mistakes picking up these Leipzig cards. Let's start with Openda. £508 for this card. And to be honest, I'm scared I'm going to be the highest dot on the graph because I panicked into the 3 of 100 in a bidding competition. And to be fair, I was kind of played. My plan was to get Xavi Simons, whatever, and to just have him as my go-to card, the guy I wanted. I got cheated out of the 1-100 auction. The auction system kind of failed. The time wasn't extended, and the guy got a bid after me. Whatever, you don't care. So it left me without really any good players playing. Like I had Dani Olmo secured, and I had Golaski secured, but both of them are injured. So I had to go out and get a player that plays and scores well, like Openda or like Xavi. The problem is, Xavi had rise so much in price. Let me just show you what happened. So from the first mint here, he went for 857. He reached 900 and then 984 pounds before finally coming back down to earth at 818. So I'm glad I didn't go for the 2 or 3 because that would have really triggered me. But essentially a similar thing happened with Openda, just not as sharply, right? But like I was saying, if you're getting that 3 or 4% early on and you're wasting it on bench players, there's just no benefit to it. So, of course, in your 1 of 100s, you have to go out and get one player that's at least going to score well and get the bonus. And then I think I made some good decisions in the form of players like this, where I've got a non-playing goalkeeper for £39, so I've got an extra 30% collection bonus, whereas the next one went for £18. So I've essentially paid £18 for 60 points on the collection game, which is absolutely huge, and you should probably do every single time you can. Because if we look at some of the more expensive cards, like Willy Orban, for example, when people start collecting these, you're in a bidding auction for essentially a 1 of 100 card that only one person can get. So this, for example, is a jersey mint. It's the only jersey mint that's going to be minted this season. So those 60 points are key. In this case, they ended up paying a £80 premium for the card. How you would have saved money there is to get, a floor new season auction, like you got £106 there, and then you get, a 1 of 100 like I just showed you here for £30. So for £130, you get 2 players and you get more collection bonus. And God, I wish I would have applied this earlier, because for Blazwicz's first auction, it went for 312. I paid 387. For less collection. Now, of course, he has kind of creeped up in price a little bit as he's, playing a little more games, even though Golaski's black and he's playing really strong. But yeah, I just wish I'd committed to more 1 of 100s. Like, it's not the go-to strategy every time. It's not just go and buy 1 of 100s, because if people are competing against you, then you're just going to push up the prices ridiculously. The only person I was ever competing against is this KLZNNN, and we were never really in the same auctions. It was only later, I think, he's actually decided, I've got a few of these cards, I'm going to go and complete the collection. So, for example, I saw he was bidding on this Willy Orban card, and I also needed it. So I put in a bid higher than I was actually willing to pay, with the expectation that he would outbid me. And that's exactly what he did. So he paid £125 for a Willy Orban card, where I think the next auction will be closer to £100 when, neither of us are bidding on it. So take advantage when the competition is low, and recognise when the competition is high, and push up their bids to prices they're probably going to pay. The 1 of 100s can actually be great value, because by the time people start collecting the cards, the only 60 points they can get from the collection bonus is by getting the jersey mints. And like I've paid for here, I had to pay £59 for a jersey mint, whereas the same cost for the 1 of 100 auction went for 45. So yes, it's not a massive premium, but it's an unnecessary £15 that I've wasted. Dani Olmo, another card I just made a mistake on. I think with these cards, you just need to commit to either getting the jersey mint or the 1 of 100, or just waiting, and picking up one of the cheapest versions you can get, but getting it on auction. It's obvious to say, but you have to go out and get these cards on auction. You are not completing a collection game bonus by buying them off the secondary market. It's just going to be an absolute nightmare. In addition, if you are looking at your own collection, check how many rookie cards they have, because rookie cards can really boost it. That was the only massive downside. Well, there was 2 downsides, actually, to the Leipzig collection. The downside was no rookie cards, so it's going to be really difficult to complete the collection game, and the goalkeeper situation next year, Van der Vaart's looking to come in. And just after I finished talking about competition, we have more competition for these cards. So now we have Ilbit. Ilbit has decided to join the competitions to try and get some of these collection bonuses. So what I think's happened is he's gone out and got a Xavi Simons. He was the one that went out and paid £900, about £90 over the last sale when they have equal collection bonuses. And it looks like he's building his way towards a Leipzig stack, and I know that because of this. My Poulsen jersey mint card that I paid £59 for, he was putting some decently sized bids in and went up to £85. So for a card worth 20 or £25 you can get on the floor, That's a £60 premium. He's obviously looking to boost up his rare stacks, and he's almost gone too late. This is why I'm saying like it's so important to get the 1 of 100s, because now he's bidding on these cards, but he's only at 1%. So now, if he went out and got every single card from auction, he still wouldn't get the 5% bonus. So he's desperate to get some of these jersey mints or special editions, but obviously there is none, usually until the end of next season. So he's really up against it. You can see he's picking some up on auction, but he wants nothing more than Emil Forsberg's jersey mint. Now, I'm in the position where I don't really need this jersey mint. It would help me get to 5%, but my plan is to get to 4% really early and then get to 5% really late. So by the end of by the end of this season, I'm happy to get 5% because it's a long grind, that final stretch. But if I am holding these cards for the next couple years, I can be patient for 1% and save myself a bit of money in the process. But what we also have is another Xavi Simons holder looking to boost up his collection. So down here, he's got one, and he's got a couple of Leipzig cards. Now, he's not a Leipzig collector, I wouldn't say, but he has got a lot of the cards where he's at 2%. He probably wants to push them to 3%. So this bid could go for a mad amount of money because I need to defend my collection, and also not let anyone else into, that higher 3-4% bracket, because Leipzig is a really strong team, but they don't have many cards on Sorare this year. So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. Let's say if I was to bid, imagine this card went for £100 and you can pick it up for like 30 on the auction. That would be a 70 XP cost premium, and that's more than any card I've ever bought, and it'd be a 69% premium on top of his normal price. It's a ridiculous amount to pay, but I think I'd be willing to do it, to be honest. Because in terms of the leaderboard, I would go up to 480 and would essentially be uncatchable as the best Leipzig collector on the game. And I'm not doing this for the leaderboard to, say I'm a massive Leipzig fan, because I'm not. I'm just doing it so less people are available to get that 4-5%. So that when we're playing the SO5 competitions together, it's less about who you picked and it's more about how much XP your cards have. We have made another little addition to the gallery. To be honest, it's looking like Xavi Simons is just a little bit too expensive. A lot of you are complaining that Van der Voort is coming next season and he's just going to wipe out my goalkeeper situation. Now, I wouldn't necessarily agree because, a 20, 21-year-old goalkeeper starting at Leipzig ahead of Galaski or Blaswich. I think it will happen in time. I just don't think it will happen immediately. A little bit like Bart Verbruggen at Brighton. Yes, it happened a bit quicker than I thought, but I can see a similar trend playing out. But at the same time, there's no downside in me getting Van der Voort because all of my under-23 goalkeepers this season are injured or second choices. So I actually need him for this season, and then he transitions into the next season. But the sad point is, it's £100 down. I'm not, I'm £100 further away from getting my dream Xavi Simons card. This video was finished, edited, ready to go out, but so much has just happened in the last day. Even now, we've got Nicholas Seawald coming in for a super rare auction. So if I can secure him, or maybe if I don't secure him, Timo Schelik, I can guarantee my 2% on my Leipzig collection, and then we'll see as time goes. I'll probably just leave it at 2% for super rares. But looking at this card, he's not playing at the minute, so his prices are a bit suppressed. He's a top quality talent. He's 22 years old. Also going to get national team utility for Austria. And what's key about that, he plays right next to my other super rare, Schlanger, and they can play together. And even better, I don't have, I don't have national team utility for Lacazette or Henriks or Simakan. So allowing me to get this card will actually add a little bit more utility in the collection, as well as having a depth option in my Leipzig stat if Schlanger gets injured or Campbell gets injured. And to be honest, Seawald is so good, I do see a scenario where they go back to Schlanger and Seawald as the starting. So I could have, 4 starting Leipzig super rares, which is mad on my budget. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, that's the formation they played in the first game of the season. Now, they've transitioned away and put Campbell in here now instead, but the manager clearly would be able to do that again. So I think I'll get some good utility out of him. It's not just for the extra 1% on a super rare, which is probably not too much in the grand scheme of things. I think he's a solid player to hold for the next 2-3 years. And another twist, why is this Zimbali guy bidding £52? Does he have a Leipzig collection in rare? I mean, I'm just absolutely lost at how high this card could go. No idea why he's in the auction. He only has limiteds. So maybe he's starting it, but yeah, this Ilbit guy is going to be raging when he sees my name pop in here. So that's us, current highest bidder. I'm sure we won't secure it for £66. If you keep in mind, Ilbit just offered me £85 for the same amount of collection bonus. Actually, for less collection bonus on my Poulsen, because he wouldn't be the first owner anymore. I'm not going to mess about. £80 bid coming in hot just to test him. And he's already outbid me. Oh, £100 easy. I told you guys. Do I just bang it up to 100 and see? I mean, I'm willing to pay £100. A little bit over that. Oh, I don't know. Let's go 101. So I've bid £101 and I've still been outbid by Ilbit. I told you how desperately he needs this. So this is in the scenario where 101 is my top bid. But what I might do is one more bid. And if he goes over that, I'm happy to lose it. Because I don't need this card as much as he does. I can go out and get, you know, 2 30-point collection cards rather than 1 60. But he needs the 60. So I'm going to increase a bid, even though I don't really want to pay this price, and see what happens. £109! Oh my god. I think I'm happy to let that go. Because I'm playing with fire now. I could force him one step higher. But if I pick up Forsberg here for £118, I wouldn't feel too good about it, even if I did get the 60 points. And like I said, he's still a long way from catching me in the Leipzig collection. You know, he hasn't even reached 2%. But I've got to remember as well, I am a content creator. Do I do it for the content? Oh, I might. Let's do it. Perfect. Yes. This is what I mean. Force them a little bit higher. It just makes them overpay for the same cards you have. And then, like, comparatively, you're in a better scenario. And I've just helped Sorare, you know. Nicholas, Dan, you can all thank me in the comments, mate. Thanks for watching. Maybe 128? 128? No, there's no way he's been 128. That is just crazy. So he's got it for 119, a 73% bonus. 128 is like 75% bonus. Paying £100 for one card. I've just got, you know, I've just talking about essentially 4% or, you know, 9% altogether at £300. So yeah, we're going to let that card go for sure. Congratulations, Ilbit. I'm sorry if you're watching, but the game's the game. And the YouTube game is the YouTube game. So if you did like this, please drop a like and drop a comment down below. You've got a chance to win Vinicius Junior Limited, and all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and comment on this video. And if you want to see more of me talking about football, me talking about Sorare, subscribe to the channel. All the best to you. Cheers.